OSA Reference Model in the sense Open System Interconnect. TCP bar IP, so I have application layer, transport layer, internet layer, and network interface. Basically, if I am performing some computation, that device is not continuously connected to the base station, so that is what I will call it as a mobile computing. Global system for mobile communication is what we call it as a GSM. Hello everyone, I welcome all of you to the 6th session on networking concepts. So what is that we have discussed in the previous session? Please, I request all of you to go back and check the previous videos. Before that, before I start the session for all of you, I would like to give you a small recap about what we have done in all the previous sessions. So my dear students, keep your notepad and pen next to you. Start making note of all the important points that I would like to explain in this session. All right. So what is that we have studied in all the previous sessions? Let's have a quick recap. So we have understood the definition of internet, and also we have understood what exactly network is all about. And then we also learned something important called interspace. We have also learned something called interspace. All right. So we understood the definition, we understood what is internet, we understood what is interspace, and also we understood what is ARPANET. We also understood what is ARPANET is what we need to remember. We understood all these things. What is the important thing that I should remember? So we understood different network devices. We understood different network devices, and also we started discussing, we have already completed different topologies that we have. So network topologies. All right. So this is one of the important topic that you should never forget. So we have discussed topologies, we have discussed network devices. What else we discussed? We also discussed something important. So please don't forget, that is switching circuits. Okay. So we have something called switching techniques. In fact, okay, in that switching techniques, we have message passing, we have circuit switching, we have packet switching. So all these topics we have discussed in detail. Along with that, we have also discussed types of networks. Please don't forget types of networks. So we know this topic since the childhood. So what is that you are saying? Types of network, LAN, WAN, and MAN. So all these things we have discussed. All right. So what is the last thing that I should never forget, which we have already discussed? Please remember, it's very, very important. That is transmission media. What is that we have to remember? Transmission media. We have two different types of transmission medium. All right. So what is guided? Another one is unguided. So when it comes to wires, cables, we call it as a guided transmission medium. When it comes to wireless communication, we call it as an unguided transmission medium. So all these topics we have discussed in detail in all our previous sessions. So before I start this session, make sure that all this topic you should know, right? So hoping that you know all these topics, I will continue the next topic. So what is that I'm going to discuss in this session? So I will be discussing with respect to different protocols that we have. So basically, I will start with the first one. So that is HTTP. What exactly the HTTP protocol is all about? My dear students, before I start this HTTP protocol, I would like to speak on what exactly the protocol is all about. So all of you will be knowing, if I say protocol, the first thing that it should come to my mind is protocol, in the sense it is a set of rules that we have defined. So we have set of rules for each and everything. Say for example, how do I handle the text in the web? So I have configured some set of rules and I have coined the name as HTTP. If I want to do anything with respect to the text in the web, so I have written the guidelines. I have written the set of rules. So by checking that, I will be doing everything. So what is that you will call it as? I will call this as HTTP. What exactly HTTP is all about? HTTP in the sense Hypertext Transfer Protocol. I repeat for all of you, please make a note of it, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So in this protocol, I have defined very clearly that how exactly the text content will be handled in the web. So that is what you have to understand. Suppose if I don't have this protocol, then it will be very difficult for me to maintain the standards to handle the text in the web. Alright, that is very important. So let's understand one by one. So HTTP is an application level protocol which lightens and speeds the necessary for distributed collaborative hypermedia information system. You need to understand one thing important, that is application level protocol. What exactly application level protocol is all about? What does it mean? We have something called OSA Reference Model, which I will be discussing in the coming slides. We have 7 layers. The last layer is what we call it as an application layer. You just have to remember this as of now. I will be discussing that in detail. So please understand, application level protocol in the sense, I will be using this HTTP protocol in the application layer. I repeat, I will be using this HTTP protocol in the application layer is what you should remember when it comes to HTTP. People will ask you, what layer protocol is this? You can directly say them, HTTP is our application layer protocol. So why do we use? We use this protocol to share the hypermedia in a distributed environment. Distributed environment in the sense what? So you will have the devices, computing devices, which is spread across the network. That is what I will call it as a distributed environment. So that is what you need to remember with respect to the point number 1. It is generic stateless object-oriented protocol which can be used for many tasks. It is not only for one task, whatever you are doing with respect to the text. So you can use this protocol for multiple tasks is what they are stressing on this point. HTTP allows an open-end set of methods to use to indicate the purpose of a request. You need to remember one more thing with respect to HTTP. So it allows an open-end set. It allows an open-end set of methods to be used to indicate the purpose of request. So whenever you are sending a request, whenever the client, whenever the client is sending the request to the server, so it will mention the purpose of request. It will mention the purpose of request is what they are trying to explain. Please remember one more thing. Along with this HTTP, we have one more protocol, that is HTTPS. What exactly HTTPS is all about? Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. So please make a note, if you want to do any secure transactions, so you have to use HTTPS. By default, you should be in the HTTPS protocol. Why? So how exactly I should do it? Whenever you are doing any bank transactions, whenever you are entering your login credentials, please check and make sure that you are using the HTTPS protocol, because it is safe and secure. All the data will be encrypted. So that's what you need to understand at this point of time. So a brief introduction with respect to HTTP. Basically, it's a protocol which belongs to the application layer, and mainly we have defined how to handle the hypermedia. It can be text, it can be images, it can be anything, any media. How do I handle on the web? That is what we need to understand, that I have configured and have stored in the protocol called HTTP. Alright, a brief discussion with respect to the HTTP. Moving on to the next one. Yes, I got the perfect example now. Guys, we have something called OSA Reference Model. What exactly OSA Reference Model? Please understand, I have TCP/IP protocol. Under this, I will be discussing these two concepts. You should never forget this concept in your lifetime. This is going to be amazing. Guys, listen to me and enjoy this concept. What exactly I have here? This is what I will call it as a OSA reference model. This is what I will call it as a TCP/IP protocol. or TCP bar IP reference model. I have two models with me. Let me start with the OSA reference model. What exactly OSA reference model is all about? So please listen to me carefully. OSA reference model in the sense Open System Interconnect. Open System Interconnect. Please make a note of it. I will call this model as Open System Interconnect. So this is what I will call it as a OSA reference model. How exactly OSA reference model is working? Let me tell you a small simple story. Imagine I have two systems. How many systems I have? I have two systems. Let me call that first system as host A. I have one more system. I will call that system as host B. From host A, I need to send some message to host B. So how do I send? How exactly the message is getting transmitted from host A to host B? That's what we are trying to understand with the help of this OSA reference model. I repeat for all of you, if you have not listened to me about the last statement, please listen to me carefully. I have host A. Host A wants to send a message to host B. If a host A wants to send a message to host B, how exactly the message is getting transmitted from host A to host B is what we are trying to understand with the OSA reference model. So now let us understand, let us imagine a scenario. So host A will be used by me and host B is used by you. I repeat, host A is used by me and host B is used by you. Imagine I would like to send a Facebook message to you. I repeat, I want to send a Facebook message using a Facebook Messenger application and I need to send a message to you. How exactly that message is getting traveled from me to you? In the sense, from my system to your system. That's what we are trying to understand. Let's start. Guys, we have 7 different layers. How many layers we have? 7 different layers. Please listen to me carefully. In the previous slide, I spoke about HTTP is a application level protocol. Yes. Application layer is responsible to handle all the different applications that we have in our system. What exactly it means? Imagine in my system, I have opened Instagram, I've opened Google, I've opened Facebook, I've opened Facebook Messenger, I've opened Gmail. All these applications are handled by application layer. So it can handle SMTP, okay, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, and it can handle POP3, okay, Post Office Protocol. It can handle HTTP, it can handle HTTPS, okay. All these applications are, now it can also handle FTP. All these things are the protocols that we have and it can be handled by application layer. What happens? Now I want to send a message from Facebook, all right, Facebook Messenger. That message will be taken by application layer. First, that message will come to application layer. That is what you need to understand. With the help of that respective protocol, first that message will come to application layer. So fine. After that application layer, it will come to the presentation layer. What will happen in the presentation layer? So encryption of that particular data will happen in the presentation layer. So your data is getting encrypted. So in the presentation layer, the encrypted data will come to the session layer. In this session, when it comes to the session layer, it establishes the session between the caller and the callee. Say, for example, imagine this is a host. So I need to send the data to this. So a session will be established. Session in the sense a period of time. Okay. So you are in contact. Okay. You are in, the connectivity will be established. All right. So that's what I will call it as a session. So the session layer takes the responsibility to establish the session between host A and host B. Now your data, after establishing a session, so guys, your data will come to the transport layer. Once your data comes to the transport layer, your data will be in the form of datagrams. Your data will be in the form of datagrams. Please understand, your data will be in the form of datagrams. Now, you will decide the protocol. What is that protocol is all about? please understand you have two types of protocol. One is TCP, another one is UDP. What is this TCP? Another one is UDP. Transmission Control Protocol, User Datagram Protocol. I repeat, TCP in the sense Transmission Control Protocol, UDP in the sense User Datagram Protocol. So why do I have this two protocol? The transport layer is responsible to decide what type of communication should happen, whether it should happen a connection-oriented communication or connection-less communication. Suppose if I want the connection-oriented communication, I will be using the TCP protocol, that is Transmission Control Protocol. Suppose if I don't want that, I will be using the wireless communication. So for that, I will be using connection-oriented, connection-less oriented communication. So for that, I will be using UDP protocol. So the decide of the protocol will happen in the transport layer. So you will decide it here. So can you speak about what is the major difference that I will have TCP and UDP? Can you just speak about it? Yes. TCP, if you are using, it's a connection oriented. Yes, we know that, sir. What is that I should understand in TCP? If it is a connection oriented, what is that I should understand? If you have the connection oriented, then whatever the data that you are transmitting from the host A to host B is reliable. Very less chance of missing out the data whenever you're transmitting from the sender to receiver. So that's what you have to understand whenever you're sending any confidential data or text data. So better, it is suggested to use TCP. But whenever I'm sending the video data, so I can, of course I can, but it is suggested to go for UDP. Even if there is a little bit loss of data, that it will not make much sense. So that's how you have to decide the type of the protocol. So fine, you have decided the type of the protocol. Your datagram from the transport layer is coming to the network layer. So the datagrams are converted into packets now. So your datagrams are getting converted into packets. Now I have the datagram. It is broken down into small packets. In that packet, I have something called header. So what is that header contains? That header contains the information about the source IP address and the destination IP address. I will mention the source IP address as well as the destination IP address in the header of each and every packet that I am sending. So fine, I'm done with the packets now in the network layer. So after that package will come to the data link layer. So please understand, the data link layer, again, it divides the packets into small frames. In that frame, the data link layer will add the MAC address, medium access control or media access control. So this MAC address will be added to each and every frames, and then that frames will be sent to the physical layer. So you did not speak about the medium access control, that is MAC address. My dear students, we all know that each and every hardware, each and every device, what we are using is having a unique address. That's what I will call it as a MAC address, which is burnt during the manufacturing time. So I'm adding that in the second layer, that is in the data link layer. So once the frames are converted in the data link layer, so the frames are sent to the physical layer. That's the last layer that we have. So all the frames are getting converted into zeros and ones. Now I have the frames. All the frames are getting converted into zeros and ones. That zeros and ones are sent to the next host, that is host B, with the help of transmission medium. I can select any of the medium for the communication. It can be coaxial cable, twisted pair, or I can also go for unguided transmission medium. It is up to me what is the transmission medium that I'm using. So I will be converting that into zeros and ones, and I will be transmitting again the physical layer. Whatever I have zeros and ones, it will collect, and then it will send it back to the data link layer. It will get converted into frames. Again, frames will get converted back to packets. packets will get converted back to datagram, the session timeout, then after that presentation layer. So encrypted data will get decrypted, and then again it will come back to the application layer. Now application layer will decide to which application I should send the data. So I have sent you the message using the Facebook Messenger. The application layer should decide to which port I should send the data. So what is that? You are saying some new word. Each application will have the port. Say for example, we are in the hotel and we are staying in a separate rooms. And I stay in 101 and you guys stay in 102 and your friend stays in 103. If I have ordered the food, so to which room it should come? So to 101 it should come. So how exactly it is coming inside? With the help of the door of my room, yes or no? In the same way, each room has got the door and door number. The same way, each application has got the door. That door I will call it as a port, and the door number I will call it as a port number. So in the same way, application layer will understand to which port and the port number it should transmit the data, and it will transmit the data. Finally, a host B has got the message, whatever I have sent. This is how the OSA reference model is working. That's what you need to understand, my dear students, with respect to OSA reference model. When it comes to TCP bar IP, so I have application layer, transport layer, internet layer, and network interface. So this is what you need to understand. The same thing, but we have removed some of the layers in the TCP bar IP. That's what you need to understand when it comes to TCP bar IP. All right, moving on to the next one. The next protocol that I have is file transfer protocol. So it's very interesting if you want to transfer any of the file to any of your system which is in the network. So I have defined some set of rules in the protocol. So that is file transfer protocol. So which will help me to send the files from any of the system which you have in your network. So what is the protocol that I should use? I should use the protocol that is FTP. I should use the protocol that is FTP, which will help me to transmit the file from one system to another system in the network. So that is one of the advantage that I have. It can be transferred to any of the system in the internet provided permissions accordingly, and files of any type can be transferred. So please understand, any type of files I can transfer, but I have to make sure that I have to mention the type of file, whether it is in ASCII or whether it is in binary. That's one of the important that you should remember. So this is all about the FTP. Why do I use FTP? Please understand, as I told you in the previous slide, each protocol has got the number. All right. So what exactly the protocol is all about? A set of rules that I have defined. So why should I define some set of rules for FTP? I want to send some files. How do I send? That's what I have guided. That's what I have set the rules. So that I will call it as the FTP. All right. Moving on to the next one. So I have PPP. What is that PPP? Please understand, point-to-point protocol. Basically, I use this protocol to transmit the data from sender to receiver using a dial-up connection. Imagine I have a sender, okay, and I have a receiver. I will call this, instead of sender, I will call this as a caller and the callee. All right. So I have a caller and I have a callee. All right. I will be establishing the connection with the help of dial-up connection. So what is that I'm trying to transmit? I'm trying to transmit the IP packets one by one. I'm trying to transmit the IP packets one by one. So how do I send that? With the help of point-to-point protocol, I will be able to do this. I have the caller and callee. I need to establish a connection between caller and callee using a dial-up connection. So I need to send the IP packets. I need to send the IP packets. All right. So how do I do that? So with the help of point-to-point protocol. That's what you should remember. And to establish the connection, I will be using line of control protocol. I will also call it as a link control protocol. Please make a note of it. So I have LCP. Why do I use LCP? So if I want to establish a connection, I will be using the LCP protocol. I'll be using the LCP protocol. That's very important whenever you are establishing the dial-up connection between the two people. So this is how the point-to-point protocol is working for all of you. And also it supports both synchronized and asynchronized lines. We all know what is synchronized and asynchronized. So point-to-point protocol also supports synchronized and asynchronized lines. That's very important that we need to understand. Moving on to the next one, we have SMTP. You all know every day you guys are using SMTP. What exactly SMTP is all about? Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Alright, so when it comes to the mail, so you should never forget this protocol. We have different types of protocols which mainly deals with the mail. So we have some set of protocols to send the mail and we have some set of protocols to receive the mail. So if I want to send the mail, basically I will be using the protocols like SMTP and IMAP. Please understand, if I want to send the non-encrypted data, I will be using the port 25. I will be using the port 25. Basically, SMTP is responsible to send the mail. Alright, if I want to send it on a SMTP on a non-encrypted port, so I will be using the port 25. If I want to use the encrypted port, what is the port number? I will be using the 465. So each port has got a number and each protocol deals with the port. If I want to use the encrypted port, when I want to send my mail, I will be using the port number, that is port 465. If I am using the non-encrypted port to send my data, that is to send my mail, I will be using the port 25. So this is what you have to remember. How do you send? What is the protocol that you remember to send a mail? So you should remember SMTP, IAMP to send a mail. But how do I receive the mail? What is the protocol that I am using to receive the mail? So I am using the POP3 protocol. What is POP3 protocol? Post Office Protocol. So let us understand this Post Office Protocol, guys. So Post Office Protocols defines the rules and receiving the mails and remote servers to a local email client. And also it helps me to download the files to the local machine when I have received the mail. So this protocol will help me to receive the mail and also it will help me to download the files whatever I have got to my local machine. So that is one of the advantage that we have. And also POP3 protocol is suitable if we are accessing our email using the single applications. If we are using the single applications, this POP3 protocol is very, very useful and suitable. This is what you need to understand with respect to the POP3 protocol. Alright, moving on to the next one, remote login. We have Telnet and we have SSH. What exactly remote login is all about? Say for example, I have kept my system in my house and I have my notes in my system which is in my bedroom. And then I forgot to copy that notes and then I forgot to copy that and I have come to the class now. Then how do I access the notes which is there in my system? It's very difficult now. I cannot go back and take my copy and come back. Alright, then how do I do that? It's not in the drive, it's not in the cloud, it's in the local machine. How do I do that? How do I access my material? So for that, I have the special application called Telnet, which will help me to take the system to the remote login. Even if I sit here, I will be able to access the content whatever I have in my local machine. That is possible if I use the application that is Telnet and SSH. This is what you have to remember with respect to the remote login. Alright, the next one is wireless and mobile computing. I think all of you know about it. Let me not spend much time in this part. So wireless communication is a simple data communication without use of landlines, which already all of you know. All right. This may involve cellular telephones, two-way radios, fixed wireless, laser, satellite communication. Basically, I'm not using any guided media for my communication. That's what I will call it as a wireless communication. So which we have already discussed in detail in the previous topic with respect to the transmission media. Let me not spend much time in this. If you want to know more about it, please go back to my previous videos and check what is that I have discussed with respect to unguided media and guided media. All right. Mobile computation means, so let me discuss about this. Mobile computing means, please understand, computing the devices is not continuously connected to the base station. If I want to perform some operations, I will not be connecting that particular device to the base station. So that is what I will call it as a mobile computing devices. I repeat, if I want to compute, if I want to perform some operation, so if I am using the device to perform some operation, that device is not continuously connected to the base station. So that is what I will call it as a mobile computing. That's what I will call it as a mobile computing. That's a very important point that you should remember. Mobile devices includes, I don't have to speak about it, personal digital assistants, laptop, computers, and smartphones. This is an example that you can take it for mobile computing. All right. So what is that you should remember? I have two topics in this slide. So wireless communication, in the sense you're not using any guided media. You're not using any cables. You're trying to transmit the data without the wires. That's what I will call it as a wireless communication. Basically, we use a technology like laser, and we use the technology like, satellite communication, radio waves, microwaves, all this technology we use to transmit the data from sender to receiver when it comes to wireless. All right, then I have mobile computing. Basically, if I am performing some computation, that device is not continuously connected to the base station. So that is what I will call it as a mobile computing. All right, I think all of you know the different computing devices that we have. All right, the next one that we have, a very interesting in fact, we have something called GSM. All right, so what is GSM? Please make a note of the full form, the acronym Global System for Mobile Communication. Global System for Mobile Communication is what we call it as a GSM. And also, please understand, it was introduced in 1980s. All right, so guys, we use the concept called TDM. We use the concept called TDM. What is this TDM? Whenever I'm using this GSM technology, so we use different multiplexing technologies. When it comes to GSM, it uses the technology called TDMA. So which allows 8 users to call simultaneously. What exactly TDMA is all about? TDMA in the sense time division multiple access. Imagine I have a channel. That channel is divided based on the time slots. The channel is divided based on the time slots. Say for example, I have user number 1. So this particular channel will be allotted for that user number 1 for 5 minutes. I'm dividing the channel based on the time. So that is what I will call it as a TDMA. When it comes to GSM narrowband, we are using the TDMA technology in the GSMA, and it supports multiple people to use the channel simultaneously. That's what you need to remember. Moving on to the next one, GPRS. So because of this GPRS, probably all of you are using, a very wonderful, good internet in today's world, right? So most of you, you can use the applications. All our classes are happening, through the internet. So, but we had days we were using a GPRS, and GPRS is nothing but General Packet Radio Service. With the help of GPRS, guys, please understand, we were just able to use with the services you can access internet, send the emails and large data, download the games and watch the movies. A very limited facilities we had when we were using the GPRS. All right. So I think all of you know this GPRS. Let me not spend more time. So GPRS was giving the facility to download a lot of data files, and also we were able to download the games. We were able to send the emails with the help of GPRS, and the full form of GPRS is General Packet Radio Service. This is what you have to remember when it comes to GPRS. Guys, we have something called wireless in local loop. Basically, this is meant for a house, it means the server subscriber at home or office. So you are generating a wireless local loop inside your premises. So basically for that, all right. So voice clarity should be very high whenever you are using this. That's the main thing. Voice quality must be high. A subscriber carrying out a long conversation, they should not feel that there is a irritation or the breakages in the conversation whenever they are talking. So that's a major intention of WLL. WLL in the sense what? Wireless in local loop. Wireless in local loop. That's what you have to remember. And one must be able to use to speak the earphone, cordless phones and parallel phones. Basically, whenever you are inside your premises, so the signal strength should be high, and it ensures the line of sight contact, and it ensures the quality output in terms there'll be a less packet loss, a less data loss is what I can tell you. All right, whenever we are using WLL, it ensures the quality data transmission, and it uses line of sight. Mainly line of sight is very important when it comes to wireless local loop. Line of sight in the sense the sender as well as the receiver should be straight in contact. So that's what we call it as a line of sight. And we can use the devices for wireless, in the sense all these devices we can use. This is what you have to remember. Guys, by this I have come to an end of this session. I think I have one more session. With that, I will be completing the last session for all of you. That will be the last session throughout the syllabus what you had. All right, so keep waiting for the last session what you have, and I will be coming in the next session to see all of you. Till then, take care of your health. Go back and check the session again and make a note of all the points and understand the concept. Thank you very much. If you have liked it, if you have got some little knowledge, please don't forget to like the button. Bye bye.